We've been trained, conditioned, and rewarded for doing more. But people weren't designed for all that doing. Our bodies need to settle into nothing from time to time. Into nothing at all. In a world obsessed with doing more, we invite you to undo.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of Proview Sports.
It is that time of the year where brackets get revealed. Welcome to Proview Network's Bracket Breakdown. It is Seeding and Selection Sunday. The season went by so quickly. I'm Sebastian Noel, Aaron Rivera on the other end, Ed Nunez, Nick Nunez right next to me. And then we did bring one real expert this year. James Baron of the Santa Fe New Mexican will be joining us in a moment. So we're really thrilled to have him with us. You know, I don't know how he's going to meet the deadline later tonight, but that sounds like a him problem, right?
I would, if anybody can do it, James Baron can do it.
That's true. That's true. If you're watching at home, and I know so many of you are, or in the community, that's even cooler. Send us your watch party pictures. At Proview TV is our X handle, at Proview TV. We've already had some come in. Our director, Jason Pohl's working feverishly back there. And I know he's already seen a few of them, but there's a lot of teams watching. And we start out, of course, with the Cleveland Storm. We're first this year. They are awaiting their number. Probably know it already since the number 1 seeds were released on the app, but Zach Cole's team playing some good basketball. Let's keep scrolling there, Jay. Let's see what else we got there. The Bulldogs are watching at the Bulldog Bowl there in Artesia, the city of champions. We're waiting their number. That is Hot Springs, Coach Bean's Tigers with the watch party. I don't even see food out. Coach Bean's getting real cheap on those kids, isn't he? Last year, I remember there was pizza and drinks. It's the Knights. There's the District Player of the Year, Francois Chivi, right in the front, and the Knights getting together, watching our show the right way, guys.
Right way, the night way.
Hey, Nick, I knew you'd get it one day. Coach Barella has his troops there at Bulldog City, boys and girls team, watching in their beautiful atrium there. What a nice facility that is, too.
One of the prettiest schools in the city.
Yeah, you go in there, all that history, now it's all in the front on display. Ed, what do you think?
You know what? When you talk, we used to be able to see Bulldog City from the highway. You can't anymore, but yeah, what a
atrium
dimension.
is.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice.
You're really well done.
It's nice. Rio Rancho, the Rams, the Lady Rams there. Coach, I think I see Coach Carver in the background there. Mm-hmm. The Rams
there
are
he
watching.
Is,
yeah. Coach Mabry and her team, they've had a really, really good season. Keep sending us those at Proview. There's a video from the Knights. See, look at that. First video of the day belongs to the Del Norte Knights. We'll talk about them a little later. I would imagine we'd get to them. The Rio Rancho boys, that looks like a really nice house. That must be Coach Heredia's palace there.
They got the spread out there, Sebastian.
Yeah,
I want to see what the food is.
Scroll
here.
down there, Jason. Go back to that. We want to look at the food. Let's see. Coach Heredia is quite a cook. I know. I don't know if they're at his house or not. I don't see, because I know he's
Lots of fruit, so that obviously they're.
But I know he's got the Traeger, and he's he's a Southerner, so he smokes meats, things like that. All right, let's talk about the criteria if we can. If you have the criteria points, Jason, throw those up there just to remind our audience. Every year there seems to be the cries of northern bias or this, that, and the other, but it's pretty cut and dry. Finishing regular season district play, head-to-head wins against district champions, regardless of classification. That could come in huge again this year, especially when it comes to the Hobbs, Eagles, boys. We'll talk about that in a moment. Overall record, Max Preps, Freeman rankings, and then member school input. That's the one thing we don't see, that final coaches poll at the end of the year. If there is a tie, the first tiebreaker is head-to-head. Often there isn't one. Then it goes to Max Preps ranking. that win against district champions. I'll just throw that up as an example because you took a look at the Hobbs boys team early in the season. They were just rattling off wins against 2A and 3A champions from Texas. They get credit for all those. So it is what it is, that criteria point. That's the one that always kind of has coaches a little flustered. All right, before we get brackets and all that, I thought we could each go around the table and talk about one big thing for the year. Spotlight whatever you think you'd want, either on the boys or girls side. I know we did that last year. Nick, you get the honors. What's your one big thing this year?
On the girls' side, I'd go with Navajo Prep girls, 23-3 under the season, the two-time defending champions under Rainey Crisp, 8 state championships for Navajo Prep. They've lost so much from their 2 state championship teams from last year's team. Shiloh Khan, Cameron Dale paces them with about 13.2 points per game, and they've won 21 games in a row coming into the state tournament. I got to go with the Navajo Prep Lady Eagles, Sebastian.
I have that in my notes for that bracket. I have a note to ask you guys, is that a runaway? And I think you just answered my question.
There's a couple teams that might have something to say about that. James Badon from the Santa Fe, New Mexican can certainly speak to that for girls Class 3A. But I really like Navajo Prep coming into the tournament, Sebastian.
Ed Nunez, what is your one big thing this year that you got an eye on here?
You know what? I did a lot of research this afternoon, about 2 hours worth on the 4A, 5A. And I looked at the Hobbs Girls Eagles with Joe Carpenter. They lost a lot.
Ton.
Yeah, they lost a lot of Wisdom Anthony's not there anymore. Mojica, Britt Clay. And, you know, I think before the season, people thought it's going to be a down year for Coach Carpenter. Did 25-2, 6-0 in district. But what they 16 wins in a row. So, you know, I know Joe. You know him pretty well. He's a great guy. I really like him a lot. There's a lot of coaches that I get to know and, you know, through the sports desk. But I think that's one there that people thought, hey, you know what? We can get him now, and that's not true. He's number one. He's number one ranked, should be the number one seed. So I think that's one that it continues on, the winning tradition, no matter who they have or who they lose. Hobbs Eagles girls are still on top.
Bryn Hargrove playing some really good basketball for the Cowgirls up at Highlands. Also, Ed, I'm glad you went there. Not only graduation, he lost a bunch of players, but the ACL bug bit him pretty hard in the summer, so he lost some girls to injury. Didn't matter. Joey reels in his 24th consecutive district championship win. That's unreal, going back to Roswell. That's Flanagan-esque, isn't it, Nick?
It is. It definitely is. What he's done with that Hobbs girls program, it doesn't matter who's playing for him. They know what the standard is.
Aaron, what's your one big thing?
Well, I know it's a long season, but I think the last 2 days, those district championships, this year they were really fun, and the results of them are something that are going to heavily impact these seedings, because you look at girls 4A, Kirtland Central all season was just beating Gallup up. Well, Gallup shuts them down in the district championship. Navajo Prep played a close one against, I believe it was Tohatchee in their championship. Obviously, you know, for the boys, Volcano Vista continues to keep rolling. So I think that district tournament championship Friday and Saturday, it was huge this year. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. I don't know if that was one big thing that you didn't want to.
Well, it's 2 days.
Do you want to focus in on any one team?
Oh, you want me to focus on one team?
On right now.
If there's one team I have an eye on right now, it's the Sandia girls, because, I mean, similar to
You
what...
took mine. That's the I should have just let you not answer, and you took mine. But
No,
go ahead.
so, I mean, similar to what Nick was talking about with Navajo Prep, Sandia graduates off that class that played together since they were freshmen, right? And this is the rebuild year. You only have one senior in Chloe Brown. You still have Kea Benali, of course, but, you know, this team is mostly made up of all these freshmen, and yet they haven't lost, I think, since the Metro tournament or something along those lines. And, you know, the freshman post for them, Hogan, played really good. She matched up really good against some bigs this year, including in her district at La Cueva. And it's just a super strong team, even though this should have been the rebuild year. This should have been the trash year for them. And, you know, people were thinking, oh, maybe this is La Cueva taking over that district this year. And yet, boom, Sandia, they just come back again.
Yeah, I'm going to just continue that trend, because that was my one big thing, was the Sandia girls. And Benali's so good at the pit, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, she was just as good as her sister in some of those championship appearances. So pit experience is so important. What the freshmen are doing with Minifield and Hogan, and then I think, and then you combine that with Ed's point about Ross and that program there, right? Like, we could be seeing these two teams play for a championship, I think, the next 4, 5, 6 years. As long as those coaches don't retire, right, and they stay there, I mean, it's going to be tough to see some other participants there. Obviously, Coach Mabry at Rio Rancho, Coach Morrison at Albuquerque High, they want something to say about that. But I really like Sandia's girls heading into this tournament, and then what Coach Carpenter's done there is just been amazing.
Interesting that we pretty much just focused on the girls' side for the big points. I mean, this is the year for the girls' basketball, I guess, today.
Right. All right. Well, let's flip then, because the popular thing to say around here was, "Oh, it's so open this year." But the more things change, the more they say the same. A number 1 overall seed for Greg Brown and the Volcano Vista Hawks. Is this one of his best coaching seasons yet? Because to see what he lost, how good that team was, and you watch them play at times this year, and it was a struggle to get offense from anyone other than David Lund. How about the season of the Hawks and Greg Brown, Nick?
Well, just look at their last 2 games, right? Both against Cleveland. They come out down 11-0 when you had them in the district tiebreaker or whatever it was. They were down 13-0 last night in the district tournament championship. I talked to Coach Greg Brown before the game, and he was like, the journey that I've been on with this team compared to the last 4 teams that I had when I four-peated, I've had to do a little bit more coaching. There's been a little bit more instruction. And just the ability of the Hawks to overcome adversity. They play a 6-man rotation, like you said. He's got some seniors that are ready to go if he needs them. But the job that he's done as a head coach, he's shown you why. He's one of the best coaches of all time in New Mexico high school basketball. They've got a great leader in David Lund who can get a bucket whenever they need it, and they've got shooting around him. Luis Gonzalez, 7 made threes last night in the district tournament championship. This Volcano Vista team clicking on all cylinders and peaking at the right time.
And they're watching. Jason, if you can pull up our website again, I was peeking down on my phone, but they are watching, I believe. Let's see if we can get a look. Let's see, who's that there? That is, that's the Matadors, right? They're on campus watching us, so that's Danny Brown's Matadors there. And then we keep going a little bit. That is the Hawks there. That's Volcano Vista. They are watching.
Jason, can you see what they're eating there?
That was pizza for sure.
Oh, okay.
Not Little Caesars like we had, though. the better stuff. And there's a Trisco. What a job Coach Hernandez has done in his first year there.
Real.
You talk about what he lost, Morris picking up right where Latavius picked up in the scoring column, right? I know he's a little banged up heading into this tournament. That team starts playing some defense, they could shock some teams, right? Because they can score the basketball, that's for sure, right?
Yeah, but the question is always who's going to score other than Rashad Morris, right? So Latavius Morris leaves, it's now Rashad who takes over.
Right.
But, I just saw them last night against Albuquerque High School, and with Rashad kind of disappearing in that second half, it became really difficult for them to score. They, like you say, they have some great defensive pieces. Like I really like Nichols underneath. He can rebound. He can fight. Against Albuquerque, who has 2 bigs.
Sessions has to be that guy, though, right? I mean, I think Sessions is one of the more underrated players in the state. I don't think that kid realizes how good he is. Like he's so athletic and shooting, get to the rim. I mean, that is a gifted offensive team, that's for sure. Ed, my question to you is going to be, when Nick covered the Volcano thing pretty well there, so we look at the other part of that 3-headed monster in that district. What about the job Zach Cole has done? Last year there's some questions about, okay, well, who's around Remy? And I think those questions went away a little bit this year because those other guys have been playing some really, really good basketball. And what a job for Coach Cole and the Storm. Talk about them.
You mentioned Remy Albrick and AJ Vigil, Bryson Bowie. You mentioned Bryson Bowie. I remember watching him last year. I was very impressed with his athleticism, ability to get downhill. I figured he was a sophomore last year. And I looked at his body. I figured he's going to grow a little bit, get stronger, and he has. They've gotten AJ Vigil. And you know what? They were on top of that district. They had a great season. You mentioned under Zach Cole, 23-6 and 8-2 in the district, and they beat Volcano. And to my son's point, Volcano and you, Sebastian, still the standard that is set in that district. They lost the last 2 to them. They're losing the district championship last night. But I still say, when we talk about losses, Kenyon Owino, Asilian, Ryan Gonzalez, those are major losses.
Hudson
right? Brown, and so they got the other Brown there, and so it's like Danny. Danny lost a lot with Dabje, Mason Howell, and Thomas Adams. Those are big losses. They are. So you figured you looked at it. I did, and I said it's more wide open, right? But Greg Brown, not only you mentioned the journey. And I don't even go back to just Volcano Vista. I remember when he was an assistant under Papa. That's when I was reffing. I remember that when he was a head coach at Manzano. He's one of the best coaches we've ever seen in state, no doubt about it. So there's that pride, that Volcano Vista pride, and he's probably thinking that, hey, everybody thinks we're down. He said in the paper today, we should be a number one seed. I don't see how we're not, and I'd agree with that. But back to Cleveland, I think Zach Cole. I think there's still. It's not just like the last 3 years when we said Volcano with Guino. Who's going to stop that dude, right? Although Sandia gave them the run for their money in that championship, one of the best championships we ever saw. So I think it's a little bit more wide open, but give Volcano Vista credit again because everyone, I know I did, I thought, hey, man, this is Rio Rancho. We haven't talked about them. They're very good, too.
Yeah.
So Las Cruces, there's still some teams in this class. You like La Cueva, Sebastian. They're playing that defense. They put the locks on Sandia, man. And, you think of La Cueva, you think of Travis Julian with the defensive influence he's had on that team. So, but back to Cleveland, I think that they have a chance, and Zach Cole has done a great job there.
You know what doesn't get talked a lot about is those two bigs over there, Valor and Jordan Rivera off the bench. Rivera, onions the last 2 weeks of the season, right? Hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. All right, the last team of that big three left is Rio Rancho. Aaron, I'll leave the Rams to you. It's tough when you don't play your best basketball in the last week and a half of the season because you almost kind of get forgotten, right? Cleveland has that great week. Volcano ends up getting the number one seed, and now no one's talking about Rio Rancho, but that was a team that was at number one a very long time.
Yeah, no, and coaches constantly talk about the time you want to get hot is at the end of the season. Well, they were right there at the end of December and beginning of January. That's when they were super hot, and you're looking at that team like, is there anybody who can beat them? Because the Rams are a team that are 10 deep. Maybe even 12 deep if you really want to go, which is going to help them.
Deepest team by far.
Yeah.
Maybe Sandia now that people are healthy, but yeah.
Yeah, but realistically, Coach Heredia has been using every single player off that bench, and there's multiple games this year where literally every guy on the bench scores for them. So that's a thing that Rio Rancho is going to carry forward, and I think, like Ed was talking about with Cleveland, the big for Rio Rancho in Caden Decker, he's really stepped up this year. I think that he's gotten a little bit better at being a physical presence underneath and being able to fight in that post. And that's really helped them out throughout the season. And they're going to really need that at the pit because somebody's got to match up with David Lunn, if you're going to play against Volcano Vista. Somebody's going to have to take on the big. And, Richardson, you want him scoring the ball more. You don't want to get him into foul trouble. So that role's going to fall to Decker. But you also have just scores on that team for them. You got McNeely, you got Bynum. Just everybody on that team. Davi Santi Stevan can score. Everybody on that team can score.
What he's done this year has been phenomenal as well. What about, the thing I think that separates those three teams, or here's the differentiator. Nick, I want to throw this at you, see if you like it. I think Volcano, they might have the most physically dominating force in David Lunn.
Yep.
Cleveland might have the best pure scorer in Remy Albrecht, and then Rio Rancho has the best depth and just the most guys, right?
Yeah.
So, there's differences between those teams, right, that make it so intriguing on any night when they face each other.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. The APS Metro Tournament is the best precursor for what it's going to look like in the state tournament. Rio Rancho, Cleveland, Volcano, they were all there down the stretch. Back to what Aaron was saying about Rio Rancho, man, they're just a couple plays away from being in a different position in this district. So if it comes down to the state tournament, I kind of like Rio Rancho, and that's no disrespect to Volcano Vista. That's obviously no disrespect to Cleveland. But Coach Heredia was named the District Coach of the Year last night for a reason. He's got depth. He's got his team playing the right way. If it comes down to those plays, I think they're going to bounce Rio Rancho's way in the state tournament.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, really. Coach Heredia has done an amazing job with that team. And the depth, Ed, you've watched more state tournaments than probably all of us, and that's not a comment on your age at all. Please don't go to HR. But
Jay,
but can Volcano go through the tournament playing six guys? Is that something? Can you get through the week playing six guys only?
I got to tell you, you mentioned that, and Jim Holzman way back in the day when they were facing Hobbs in the '71 championship played six guys and they won. And Coach Metters, the late Coach Alvin Metters, and I was like, Al, how in the heck did they win? Hobbs is running all these guys in and out, and Coach Holzman ran six. And, of course, that was then, and this is now. I don't think they can. I don't. But you know what? Are you going to sit here? Are we going to sit here and say, Greg Brown, you can't?
Yeah, that's kind of silly, right?
He's wanted. I have the utmost respect for both him and Danny, of course, all the coaches that are here. But Greg knows what he's doing, man. But, you want that depth, Sebastian, because we don't know in the pit. Adrenaline flows a little bit harder. We get a little bit more tired. You're excited, right? We don't know if an injury might happen. So you want at least 7 or 8 if you can get
And
that.
the competitor in Greg Brown, I'll just finish the segment with the story. Steve and I are at Cibola last week for that tiebreaker, and we're with someone we all know, a Lobo supporter that's a basketball fan. And so we're talking to Greg Brown in the foyer there, and this guy comes up and he wants to congratulate Greg, and then he makes the mistake of saying, well, it's really good this year because it was so unexpected. And Greg just kind of looked up, oh, was it unexpected? So, I mean, the competitor in Greg Brown, yeah. I mean, this year his team's going to be so, not that they always aren't, but a Greg Brown with a chip on his shoulder, maybe? That's scary, right?
I wouldn't want to play them.
You
All
know
right,
what?
do we
Yeah.
want to bracket, Jason, or do we want to break? Bracket. All right, we got brackets. There are some brackets available here, so let's throw them up here. Whatever you throw up there, we'll go with, Jason. We're here to serve you. All right, so the 1-8 girls bracket, the number 1 seed, it's Logan. No surprise there. The Longhorns received the number 1 seed after a fantastic season. Congratulations to them. They'll get the 16 seed Cimarron. Coach Roberts has a really good team there. Springer, the Red Devils are the 8 seed. They'll get the home game against the number 9 seed Melrose, the Buffaloes. Congratulations to Coach Jeff Reed, the former Clovis coach, now over there at Melrose. The 5-12 features Tahajali and Dora, so congratulations to both teams there. The 4-13 is Fort Sumner House and Alamo Navajo. The 3-14 is Roy Mosquero against Reserve. The 6-11 is Quemado against Elida. Elida has not been, relevant since Coach Isler's been gone, right? Like, it's good to see them up there, but man, a once powerhouse. The 7-10 features the Magdalena Steers and Des Moines. And then at the bottom of the bracket, the number 2 seed, it's the Cowgirls of Cliff. Congratulations to Coach Schock. She's had a nice season, and they'll hit Pine Hill, the 15 seed. We're going to go through some brackets then, and we'll kind of circle back when we actually start talking about them. So, Jason, you can put up the next bracket right away. It's the 1A boys bracket. No surprise at number 1, it's the Longhorns. Congratulations to Coach Kyle Griffith. It's a dominant team with so much size. The number 16 team is Quemado. I had another coach in that classification tell me, hey, well, if we have to face Logan again, we might have to pull out some tricks in that game. And we know what that means. So
You can try all the tricks you want, Sebastian. That's a dang good team, man.
it is. You're right. The number 8 seeds, the Cowboys, Coach Schunk, and the Cliff team. They're the home team against the Hadley, the number 9 seed. So on the road for them. The 5-12 features Alamo Navajo and Grady, the Broncos. The 4-13, it's Melrose, the Buffaloes. Good season for Coach Drew Hatley, led by his star Jackson Odom. They will be on the same side of the bracket as Logan. I know that's probably not what Coach Hatley wanted to see. He gets a 13, Elida. Bottom of the bracket, it's the Rams of Cimarron. That is the legend, the Hall of Famer, the walking encyclopedia of basketball history when it comes to small schools. Eloy Brazil, the head man, he'll get the number 14 seed, Pine Hill. The 6 is Roy Mosquero against Mountaineer. All right, without cheating, what's the Mountaineer's mascot? Anyone?
Bears.
Mustangs.
Oh, nice job, Nick.
The
Very
six-man
good.
state championship a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah,
Going
that-
on there, Mustangs.
That one threw me. That's the one I didn't have when I was filling it out. That one. Magdalena, the Steers, they're the 7 seed. Not used to seeing such a high number next to Jory Miraball's team, that's for sure. They'll get the Red Devils of Springer. Congratulations to Coach Chavez, who has a legend on his bench, Isaiah D. Herrera, one of the greatest three-point shooters in Springer history, is on the bench. Could it be a magical run for the number 10 seed? The 15 is Gateway Christian against the number 2 seed Fort Sumner House. That is what the 1A boys bracket looks like. Again, we'll break all this down after a commercial break. We do want to get some brackets out there. 2A girls, it's Mesa Vista, the number 1 seed. Not much of a surprise there. Mesa Vista looking at a possible boy-girl sweep when it comes to 2A championships. They'll get Hojo Academy, the 116. The 8-9's McCurdy against Jal. Home game for McCurdy there. The 5-12 is the Yellow Jackets of Clayton against Tucumcari. The 4 is Laguna Acoma against the 13 seed Legacy Academy. Bottom of the bracket, the 2 seed is Texaco, the Wolverines. They get Rama. The 7 seed's Penasco. They get the 10 Lordsburg. The home game for Tatum as they host the number 14 team Eunice. Again, strange to see a 14 in front of Eunice when it comes to girls basketball. And then the Santa Rosa Lions are the 10 to the 11 Pecos. That's the 2A girls bracket. for you. What else do we have? Jason, you have another one for us? 2A boys, all right, we're just going to keep rolling through it. The number 1 seed, there's no surprise there at the top. It's the Wolverines under Coach Greg Cook. They're the number 1 against Clayton in a 1-16. Bottom of the bracket, it's Pecos. The Panthers get the number 2 seed. Coach Arthur Gonzalez, perfect district record, 25-3 overall. They'll get Mescalero Apache in the opening round. Then we'll stay down there. The 7 seed is Escalante. The Lobos will host Manal. The Panthers, coaching change late in the season when they were leading their district. They won their district tournament championship last night. They'll hit the road to face Escalante. The 6th seed is Rehoboth Christian. They'll get Oak Grove at 11. The 3 is Mesa Vista. The 14 is Hojo Academy. The eye test doesn't say Mesa Vista's a 3. I'll just say that.
Yeah, they lost a game in the season late to Mora. I think 5-point loss. But, man, Jordan Gallegos, that guy's tough.
He can play in any classification, right? And they beat Hobbs. I mean,
and they beat Bosque, too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good team. They also beat Espanola, which, I mean, this year that's not as much of an accomplishment as in years past. But still, when you go up in the classifications and win, that's really impressive. The 4 seed is Santa Rosa. The Lions will get 13. Eunice. Football rivalry will be settled on the hardwood. The 5 seed, Mesilla Valley against Dulce. And then the 8-9, it's the Rattlers with the home game against Mora. That's the 2A boys bracket. All right, what else do you got for us, Jason? All right, we're going to keep going. 3A girls bracket. The number 1 seed is the powerhouse that Nick was talking about earlier. That's Rainy Crisp and the Navajo Prep Eagles. They'll get the 16 Zuni. When we do talk about this with James, I want to get his thoughts about, if this is a runaway or if there's a chance for anyone to kind of slow down that Navajo Prep team. The 8-9 is Tohatchi. Interesting. Right there against East Mountain. And then the 5-12 features Cobre against Ruidoso. The 4 is Dexter. The 13 is St. Michael's. The 3 seeds Robertson against West Las Vegas. They won't have to go far. And then the 6-11 is Crown Point against Tularosa. See, that's got to make James happy. You get Robertson and West Las Vegas in the same game, right?
Yeah, look at that, a district matchup.
That's a sports writer's dream right there when your beat is playing each other at the beginning. Crown Point Tularosa is the 6-11. The 7 is Newcomb. The 10 Sandia Prep. The 15 is Nimi. Santa Fe Indians, the 2. Obviously, we'll get a chance to talk later about the collision course between possibly Santa Fe Indian and Navajo Prep, and if anyone can slow down Navajo Prep. All right, let's go to another bracket. 3A boys. The number 1 seed, no surprise, it's St. Michael's. Congratulations to Coach Montoya, district champions. They beat Highland and Santa Fe in higher classifications this year. They'll get the 16 Wingate. The 8-9 features Tahatchee as the home team and Nimi traveling in the opening round. Santa Fe Indian School, who put on a classic last night with the aforementioned St. Mike's. They're on the same side of the bracket as the 5. Sandia Prep is the 12 seed, waiting for them. Navajo Prep's the 4, and the 13 is Derek Bean's Hot Springs Tigers. Bottom of the bracket, the 2 seed is Tularosa. The 15 is West Las Vegas. 7-10, it's the Timberwolves of East Mountain against the Robertson Cardinals. And then the 3-14 is the Cobre Indians against Ruidoso. The 6 seed, Bosque, also had a coaching change late in the season as they were leading their district. And they'll get the 11 seed Cottonwood Classical there. We'll get more thoughts about that in just a moment. Is that all we got, Jay? Oh, wow, we're just going to keep going here. Jason's putting me to the test. 4A girls, Kirtland Central against Goddard. It's the 116. No surprise there, right?
Shocker.
Portales and Levington in the 8-9. Valencia, Pojoaque Valley in the 5-12. The 4 seeds Hope Christian against Shiprock, the 13. Bottom of the bracket, the 3 seed is Albuquerque Academy against rival St. Pius. That's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. It's a really, really young St. Pius team, but you never know. 6 seeds Bernalillo, the 11's Espanola Valley. 7 Silver, 10 Highland, and the 2 seed is Gallup. 15's Grants. Everyone, I think, probably expecting a 1-2 in the pit in front of a sold-out crowd, right? But you never know. That's why they play the games, right?
Definitely.
We'll get some thoughts about that when we get into our bracket breakdown. Let's keep rolling through the brackets. The 4A boys, the number 1 seed is no surprise. It's Justin Woody and the Highland Hornets. They'll get the 16 seed Grants. 8-9, it's Belen at home against Portales. The Rams will hit the road. The 5 seed is Taos against the 12, St. Pius. The 4 seed is the Knights of Del Norte. They'll get the 13, Valencia. That's the top of the bracket. Bottom half, the 3 seed Hope Christian, seated ahead of the Knights. The Huskies beat Del Norte last night in the district tournament championship game in a good one. Coach Murphy has some injured. Ed, you were at the game, so I'll throw this at you. Coach Murphy has some guards injured, so it forced him into this ultra big lineup with Dwyer and Cochran and, of course, Hiron, and they looked really good.
You know what? Dwyer had not played very much. He had 11 points last night. He's raw, but I thought he did a good job. They're missing Jason Miera, as you mentioned, Sebastian, and Ben Koenigsberg, who Coach Murphy says is their best passer. But they came through last night. Del Norte, I thought, was going to win. And put a little half-court trap on Hope, and Hope struggled breaking that. But once they did, heated up. Dwyer played, like you said, played very well. And Cochran, that kid is tough. I really like him a lot. Only a sophomore.
So, that's a different Hope team heading into the tournament now. They might have an ultra-big lineup. They get Pewaukee in the opening round. The 6-11, it features Albuquerque Academy against Goddard. So you see Hope Academy potential matchup there out of the District of Champions right in the second round. The 7 is Gallup against the 10-seed Silver, the Fighting Colts. And then the 2-seed belongs to Mike Mondragon's Artesia Bulldogs against the number 15-seed Bloomfield. That's the 4A boys bracket. Again, we'll get some thoughts about that in just a moment. We might as well go all the way through here. 5A girls, the number 1 seed, does belong to Joey Carpenter and the Hobbs Eagles. Congratulations, but not a surprise there. The 16 is PV. That's a long trip in the opening round.
As far as you can go.
8-hour drive. 8-hour drive.
Back in the day, I did a state championship in Hobbs, and the people who came from Farmington said on the bus it was almost 10 hours.
Yeah, imagine a 9-hour trip to play the Hobbs Eagles.
As the 16 seed.
Yeah, that's well, welcome to the state tournament anyway. The 8 seed is Las Cruces. They'll be at home. And on the road, go to the La Cueva Bears. That is a super intriguing matchup. A very good Las Cruces team. Coach Selby does just an amazing job with her girls down there. And then La Cueva, they pushed Sandia to the limit on Saturday in that district tournament final. Did you do that game, Aaron? Who did that game?
No, I was
Nobody
not
that's
there.
here. Okay, all right, then we won't talk about it. But La Cueva, obviously, anytime you have a 2,000-point scorer, Ed, someone that fills the bucket like Jordan Dyer, you're going to have a puncher's chance every night.
You know what? I think you're right about that. I saw Coach Selby at the Academy tournament. I was very impressed with the way she calls timeouts, draws plays, talks to her players. But you're right about Jordan Dyer, Paz Romero, Peyton Lobato. I like that La Cueva squad. And you're right. When you have a Jordan Dyer, the University Pacific signee, you've got a chance.
Sandia's the 5 seed. We talked about the Matadors a lot already. They get the 12 seed Cleveland. Albuquerque High is the 4 seed. They're battling some injuries, but what a season Abby Pavia has had, and they'll get Santa Fe in that opening round. The 3 seed is Rio Rancho, Coach Mabry. They'll get a home game against the Clovis Wildcats. The 6-11 is Las Lunas against Mayfield. That's going to be an inch. What, first to 20 wins?
Yeah.
I mean, those two coaches are going to scheme up some defense.
No doubt.
That's going to be like watching paint dry, but it's going to be competitive, I'll tell you that.
For sure.
The 7 is Centennial against the 10, Volcano Vista. What a job Coach Villarreal has done this year. So many girls have graduated through the program, and still she's right there. The 2 seed is Farmington. One of the loss for Hobbs, one of them, the in-state loss, it's at the hands of Farmington. They get the 15 seed El Dorado. All right, one more bracket, and then we're going to break, and then we'll break some stuff down for you. 5A boys, the 1 seed is Volcano Vista. The question would be, is the 16 going to Santa Fe? Yes, it is. So the Demons get the 16. For all intents and purposes, that game against El Dorado in the second round of the Metro Tournament, that was for potentially the last spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And, Coach Cisco Rivera from Santa Fe has done a phenomenal job to get the Demons in the state tournament. Will Weber of the Santa Fe New Mexican had a great article on Saturday morning kind of breaking down Santa Fe's tournament resume. I'm glad they got in.
The 8 seed that stays home is Las Cruces. That sends the district champions packing. A road trip down south for Leroy Barella and the Bulldogs. Coach Benjamin's group, they were the 3 seed in their district tournament. They did not win that district, and they were seeded 3rd in the tournament. They lost to Centennial again yesterday. They still get the home game. Albuquerque High gets the road trip. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, at length when we get to that. The 5 is Hobbs. They get Orchid Mountain. Again, Hobbs. They end up getting seeded ahead of Sandia and Centennial. They had just had a lot of wins against those district champs. You look at their schedule early in the season, and there's all those Texas teams that they beat. Those towns that have a Dairy Queen and a dollar store, and that's it. Well, they beat those district
else do
champs.
you need?
Yeah, well, that's all you need, right? And so they beat those district champs. They piled up. Coach Ross's crew gets a 5 seed. That's a tough Oregon Mountain team. Don't sleep on the 12 seed, the Knights there. The 4 seed is the red hot La Cueva Bears. They get a Trisco, the 13 seed. If you want to talk about getting hot at the right time, I think Aaron, you mentioned that. There's no one hotter than La Cueva. When you pound your rivals twice in a week, you're feeling good about yourself.
Not only that, but then you're going to have the home game here against a team that has just lost a game in their district championship. So you're going to be feeling good. You've got all this momentum, a team that right now is going to be searching for momentum against you. That La Cueva side, I mean, that's another team that's just filled with scorers. Obviously, Hunter Butler is one of the guys that I always like because I love a great post like him that loves jams. And it's a tough team to beat because, yeah, they can go inside on you, but then also they can just bump that ball out and shoot from the arc and beat you up.
Yeah, I mean, the way Hunter's been carrying that team from a leadership perspective, it's been phenomenal. If you want to see the nastiest in-game dunk I've seen in a while, look up Peyton Fuller's.
Had that, didn't we?
Look up Peyton Fuller's dunk from
That
last
dunk.
night when you get a chance. But we'll talk about that more when we get to the brackets. The 3 seed is Rio Rancho. Again, we knew it was inevitable, right? The 14 seed is Mayfield. Mayfield's a team we all saw at the Academy tournament, and I really thought I'd see a better number in front of their name by the end of the year. I was so impressed with Mayfield. They had some injuries, they had some guys out of the lineup, but still a little surprising.
They started like 6-0, 7-0 on the season. Looked really good in the Academy tournament. Defeated Academy in the opening round. They play defense, Sebastian. I think that can carry them maybe for an upset.
Well,
And
they
they have
won.
guards.
They won the Academy tournament. They beat Centennial, their rivals. They just looked like they were this undefeatable team. Like you looked at them, and you said, "Oh, I don't know if they can win." And then every game, they just came out and just beat everybody down.
The 6th seed is Sandia against the number 11 seed, Farmington. I know I'm talking to Coach Chitty a little bit yesterday. He thought he might have to travel down south. He thought he might get Hobbs. Instead, he gets Sandia and his friend Danny Brown instead. It's less of a trip, that's for sure. But Sandia's dangerous. Ed, I did their last 2 games. Gad Harris is back, and he looks good. I'm not saying they're just going to run all the way to the championship here, because is it too late? Can you get chemistry? Can you get a rhythm? Can you find some, mojo, I guess, this late? But it's sure good to see him.
Yeah, you've been, we sat together when La Cueva played hot, and I asked him about Gad Harris. He's been waiting for a long time to get him back. But I'm going to tell you this, as someone that's been around the game a long time, so is my son. It's hard. It's hard to get that chemistry. I'm not saying they can't. He hasn't been there. Who's got, and then George Smith, was he hurt too?
Yeah, George Smith has been battling injuries.
So, you know what, gosh, again.
And he's not 100%.
Yeah. And so we talk about if we had all these guys together, if. But they can spread, they can shoot, they're athletic. The big kid, Hogan, he's, I think he's
Made a
helped them.
huge difference.
So they're certainly capable of that. If they get on a run, that first round matchup, hey, the Farmington kid, Griego, I don't know if he's hurt or not. He went down against Volcano Vista, and he was, he looked like he was. I don't know if he's coming back or not. But they were leading Volcano Vista late in the 3rd quarter, and when he went down, David Lund had a field day in the paint. Nobody could stop him. But I think Coach Brown has been waiting for this. But he knows too. He's been around the game a long time, and you could get that. They're certainly, again, they have the ability. But when a guy comes in that you're expecting so much from, you're not sure how that's it's going to work because he hasn't played with George Smith all year long. George Smith has held the ball, so has Isaiah Brown, and there's another ball handler and creator for you that can get to the gaps. What does he have? Again, he hasn't played in all season long, and he's definitely ready. But we'll have to see how the chemistry plays out.
And I mean, you talk about a difficult road through for Sandia if they should somehow ride this Gad Harris momentum. Potential 2nd round against Rio Rancho. And then who knows who gets through to the bottom there, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Centennial. But both of those teams have already beat Sandia. Cleveland made Sandia look bad in the Metro tournament. That was the low point of Sandia's season. And then a Centennial team that beat them in a couple of overtimes. So it's a tough road whether you have Gad Harris or not.
And we had that game, Sandia, Rio Rancho, in the 3rd place game of the APS Metro tournament. Sandia fought back in that 3rd quarter. If they're playing downhill, Sebastian, playing their style of basketball where they get steals, hit 3-point shots, I think they could beat anybody in this tournament.
Well, the one team they haven't been able to beat, I think if you're a Sandia fan, you're happy that La Cueva's on the other side, because what La Cueva did to them twice in a week, I think La Cueva's defense has something figured out when it comes to the Matadors. All right, I think it is finally commercial break time. That might be the longest first segment ever. All the brackets are out. We're going to bring James on set here, and we'll talk some small school brackets when we return.
All right.
Raising Cane's invites you to grab life by the chicken fingers. So get out there. Be you. Do you. Embrace whatever makes you, you. All while enjoying Raising Cane's hand-battered cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and that secret recipe cane sauce that makes everything that much better. So go on. Savor the day.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
From the Sandia foothills to the banks of the Rio Grande, generations of families remain. For 5 generations, Gallus Chevrolet has handed down values written in stone, leading the way under sun-filled skies, past the vintage glow of Route 66. Built by generations past, built for generations to come. This is New Mexico. This is Gallus.
Hi, my name is David Nieto. I'm the owner of Black & Silver Services. We are an HVAC contractor here in Albuquerque, and we're a proud supporter of Proview Networks. And we do sponsor a lot of kids here in Albuquerque locally, and we're hoping for a great season. If you guys are interested for a free HVAC quote, you can call us.
Burrito Express is proud to announce that we are the official burrito spot of Proview Networks. Since 1982, with 6 locations serving Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and Roswell, the question is, red or green? Let's go to the burrito. Visit letsgototheburrito.com and order now. Eagle Greens and Turf are a family-owned and operated business with over 25 years of experience in the home improvement industry. They are your exclusive dealer of celebrity green, synthetic putting greens, and artificial turf. They also have artificial turf that is specifically designed for your pets. Eagle Greens and Turf are proud sponsors of Proview Networks and can make your lawn green all year long at 505-273-2744. Granite Passion are proud supporters of Proview Sports. They're located at 1309 12th Street Northwest. They're your one-stop shop for granite, quartzite marble, quartz, and install. Most jobs are completed in a single day. Give them a call at 505-242-1007. That's 505-242-1007.
We've been trained, conditioned, and rewarded for doing more. But people weren't designed for all that doing. Our bodies need to settle into nothing from time to time. Into nothing at all. In a world obsessed with doing more, we invite you to undo.
across the state of New Mexico, different journeys will begin. And when their journeys unite, together will become one experience. Our campuses across New Mexico in Portales, Roswell, and Ruidoso come together to provide you the support as one family. We are one family that share one goal, one opportunity at a time. We are one Eastern.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of Proview Sports.
Please continue sending us your watch parties at Proview TV. You probably recognize on the end there James Borono, the Santa Fe New Mexican. You see him all over the northern part of the state, covering the entire. I mean, you're everywhere. And then
pretty much. I'm even down here in
Albuquerque. Yeah, you don't have to come here, right?
Do you have a clone, James? Do you have a clone? A doppelganger, maybe?
I don't know if there is one, man. He's right. He's been writing some pretty bad checks. My credit rating has gone down. Seriously.
So we look forward to your opinion, especially when we get into that district on the boys' side with St. Mike's. But we want to go through some brackets now in more depth, and let's start with the 1A girls. Logan's the number 1 seed there. We'll do what we kind of normally do. Like, is there an upset that you see somewhere there possibly? Or these 1A brackets tend to be so chalky.
Yeah.
Do you see any? We'll start in the end with you, James. You're the guest of honor today. Do you see any potential upsets there?
I really can't say that I do. I think Logan, is clearly I think the best team out of the group there. You look at that. If there's a team that maybe could upset a typical 1-2 matchup there, I think it might be Roy Mosquero. They've still got some of the players left from their team last year that went undefeated in one state. That would kind of be my wild card there in that group.
Yeah, Aaron, you all chalk there? Or?
Well, yeah, he stole mine. I was going to mention Roy Mosquero because the big problem for them though is that they've lost to Logan already twice this year. Beating a team 3 times is difficult, and yet Logan is a really strong team. But I do think Roy Mosquero could easily make a run there to the finals.
Sebastian, I like I like Fort Sumner House in this bracket. Coach Ben Segur has done a phenomenal job. They won the state championship 2 years ago. They play hard every time they get out in the state tournament. I think they could have a chance maybe on that side of the bracket to give Logan a game in the semifinals perhaps.
Equally tough on the boys' side, if you bring that up, Jason. The 1A boys bracket also has a number 1 seed with Logan at the top. Hayden Bruin, 23 points, 10 rebounds a game. Mason Wallen, 20 points, 10 rebounds. Even my Del Norte math tells me that's 43 points and 20 rebounds. Most 1A championship games don't get out of that score line sometimes. So if those guys just hit their average, that's how good Logan has been, right? I know there's some other good teams in this bracket, but you talk to a lot of coaches that play basketball in this classification, and they are just worried that this is going to be a runaway for Logan.
Yeah, I think so. And Logan, they went out and they've played some really good teams. I know early in the year they were at the Eunice tournament. They saw a couple of 2A and some 3A schools there.
They beat
Mesa Vista, yeah. And I was kind of surprised by that because I think for Mesa Vista, and we'll talk about them later. They're at a serious size disadvantage compared to Logan, and yet they were able to keep that game close. But to me, I just think Logan clearly is hands down the best team there out of that group.
Nick, Coach Holland has a really good bunch there at Fort Sumner too, and he's been there before. Can he pull that upset in the championship, assuming that you have him getting there?
Yeah, I think so. He's had Trayvon Bonds. That's a kid, man. He hit a big shot, I think, to win the state championship a couple years ago as a freshman. He's a junior now at 6'4", really good three-point shooter, really good shot maker. The system that they play down there at Fort Sumner House gives them a chance, but don't count out Magdalena, Sebastian. I know they haven't been dominant the way they have been in the last decade, but they played really good basketball down the stretch. They beat Cliff in the district tournament championship, so don't count the Steers out, man.
Nick, I think their time might be coming, but they are young.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're quite ready for that Logan size. Aaron, is there someone else in that bracket you want to make a case for? I know Melrose has a nice team. Do you want to make that case? Coach Brazil, obviously, what he's done.
Well, I just want to mention Fort Sumner House has beaten Logan
right.
multiple times already this year, right? So that 2 spot, I mean, that could be, we talk about Logan scoring that much, but Fort Sumner House has beaten them before,
Right.
so.
What about any upsets? Are there any upsets? Are there a team there that you could see maybe springing 1 or 2 upsets?
You know, just to play devil's advocate, Sebastian, maybe the 6-11 Mountain Air. Mountain Air had to battle it out with Alamo Navajo in that district. Some really close games. I think they're a scrappy team. I'd take the 11 seed Mountain Air over Roy Mascara.
Okay, all right. Are we going to see a Logan Fort Sumner State Championship, James?
I think we probably will. I think especially after what Aaron said there. You know, those teams have played 3 times already, and if I remember correctly, I think the last game Logan did beat them. So you know, I think they're 2-1 now, right? 2-1 Fort Sumner. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game if we get that 1-2 matchup.
So are we going Fort Sumner or are we going Logan in the championship?
I think you got to go with Logan.
Same here, man. Hayden Bruins, Mason Wallen, the way they play defensively too, they're just too much.
I don't think I can pick.
I see you going the other way.
I don't think I'm allowed to pick. Right? Yeah, I think I'm doing that one.
All right, let's move ahead then to the 2A bracket. The 2A girls bracket has the number 1 seed Mesa Vista, the number 2 is Texaco, the 3 there at the top is Tatum, and then the 4 seeds Laguna Acoma. Tell us just how good this Mesa Vista team is, James.
Well, you know, it seems like the last couple of years, everybody thinks, you know, they lose a couple of key pieces, and they think that Mesa Vista is going to come back to the pack and everything. This isn't the case here. Freshman, Aaliyah Boys, Coach Jesse Boy's daughter. She's really stepped up. She's taken over that role that Tana Lopez had last year. She's her team's leading scorer. She's also their second leading rebounder. She leads the team in steals. She's averaging over 7 a game. She really is a difference maker there. But you know, they've shown that they can play a little bit more of a physical style than they have the last couple of years. That's kind of been their problem when they've gone up against bigger teams. I think I remember 3 years ago, I think it was Tularosa that they lost to in the semifinals last year. It was Pecos with Natalia Stout that they really struggled with. I think this is a group here that, you know, I know you look at that back, you know, the bottom side of that bracket there with Texaco and Tatum, and you know, Tatum I think has got a team that's capable of being able to beat Mesa Vista, but I think at some point, you know, Mesa Vista's been knocking on that door, and I think this is the year that they finally do break through.
You know, Aaron, I like the balance that Texaco brings. I mean, you mentioned Mesa Vista, yeah. Their freshman's going to need to lead them. Texaco's pretty balanced. I mean, they got 4 or 5 girls there that can score. I think that's a 2 seed that could beat the 1 seed Mesa Vista, possibly, right? Make the case for them or even anyone else that catches your eye there.
Well, and what I like about Texaco too is a lot of those girls have played volleyball as well, and that, you know, every year they're in the championship, so they have this experience of playing through these tournaments. You know, every year we're looking at them as a potential into the pit as well. So, yeah, I do think Texaco's an interesting look there. I was interested whether Penasco could, but having to play through 2, I don't think they're going to be able to get through.
Well, and I think another issue there is in the district semifinal against McCurdy, Rochelle Lopez, their star senior point guard, got hurt late in that game. I don't know how severe that is and what her availability is going to be for next week, but if they lose her, you know, that's a game that I could easily see if we're looking at first round upsets. I could see Lordsburg being able to beat them just because Penasco, so much of what they do goes through Rochelle.
Any other games that we should watch or that you want to circle there, James?
I would also go with the 6-11 game between Santa Rosa and Pecos. Pecos beat them once, I believe, at their place. They played in the semifinals last week, or on Thursday, actually, I'm sorry. And it was Santa Rosa didn't score for like the first 7 minutes of that game, or the fourth quarter. Pecos was down 7. They got it down to 1 at one point before Santa Rosa was able to pull it out. And, you know, when you see a team 3 times, you know how that goes when you see them a fourth. You know, it's a bit of a crapshoot there. And I think Pecos, you know, even though they lost a lot of the girls that were on that state runner-up team last year, I think there's enough experience where they could come in and pull off that upset. And it kind of reminds me about 3 years ago when they lost a lot of girls after that team that won the state title in 2022. They brought a lot of those girls. They didn't have a lot of those girls back. They got to the first round, and then I think they beat Tatum in the first round to get to the quarterfinals, and that kind of set up the run that they went on for the next couple of years.
Let's take a look at the 2A boys bracket. The number 1 seed is Texaco. The matchup that I think is super interesting is that 4-13. When those two teams hook up any sport, it seems like it's always tight.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. I think Manal's length could really give some teams some problems. I do really like that Pecos team as well. Nick, there's a lot in this bracket.
There definitely is, for sure. Really like Santa Rosa. Josh Cordova, two-sport athlete, averages around 20 a game for the Lions. They lost in the semifinals last year. Maybe they can make that breakthrough they did in baseball. A lot of talented teams, like you said, Sebastian, that district up north. I mean, Mora beating Mesa Vista late in the season. They're a team that maybe can make some noise. Pecos obviously having a phenomenal season as well. I like Mesa Vista and Texaco in this bracket, Sebastian.
The Panthers, they beat some 4A schools, Belen and Bernalillo. Their season opener, they only lost to Mesa Vista by 2, and we know how good Mesa Vista is, even though they're the 3 seed and Pecos is the 2. Are we going chalky here, or what do you think, James?
I think there will be some upsets here. I mean, I look at, the Escalante Manal game is going to be tough, and I think Escalante matches up with them. They've got a 6'5" kid who's a senior who should be able to match up with Manal a little bit better. The team that and Escalante is kind of my dark horse pick on that side of the bracket. They beat, I'm sorry, did they beat Pecos? No, they beat Mesa Vista, I'm sorry. But I think they can give Pecos all that they can handle, and they have the couple of times that they played them.
So who's your winner?
My winner overall, I would go with, I'd love to see Mesa Vista do it, but after seeing the way Pecos has played, especially over the last 4 or 5 weeks, I really like the way they're playing right now. I think I like Pecos.
Okay, all right. So you have Pecos over Texaco in the championship?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say this. Santa Rosa is kind of enticing. That Tucumcari and Mota matchup is going to be interesting. Tucumcari has given Pecos a run the last couple of times they played them, and obviously, like Nick was saying, Mota beat Mesa Vista. I think that would be a tough matchup for Texaco in the quarterfinals because I think both those teams can match up with them physically. Maybe not necessarily in size, but they can match up with them physically.
And Santa Rosa, the only 2A team to beat Texaco this year, so
yeah.
Can't count them out, man.
Yeah, Aaron, who do you like in your championship in this bracket?
I think that the Panthers, again, I mean, that's a team that has all this tradition, all that, and the way they've played throughout the season. I think it's Pecos, Texaco in there, and it's tough for me to pick against the Wolverines. Boys and girls, Texaco just always seems, I mean, that city is just filled with great athletes. I think it's tough to pick against Texaco.
Jet Curtis, the three-point shooter for Texaco,
So
man.
good.
He tied a school record last season, didn't he, James? He was somewhere up
Wasn't
there.
it the state record?
Remember Pablo Romero, Esteban Romero's brother, broke it first or second, right? And they traded spots.
Yeah.
And it was very close.
Yeah, it was like in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so who do you got in your championship, Nick?
I got Texaco, and I'm going to go Texaco and Mesa Vista, rematch of last year's championship. I think the Trojans get it done this year, man. This is their year.
All right, and I'm gonna have Texaco going through all the way on the top there, and then on the bottom side of the bracket, I'm gonna go with shout out to probably one of your dad's good friends. I'm gonna go with Larry Varos's Mesa Vista Trojans for the win over the number 1 seed Texaco there in 2A boys. All right, that moves us to 3A. Let's look at the 3A girls bracket. James, this is where you can really help us out here a little bit and help everyone find somebody that can beat Navajo Prep.
I'll give you 2 right off the bat, Robertson and Santa Fe Indian School.
Okay, all right.
Navajo Prep came down to Santa Fe Indian School's tournament, and they needed a 3-point shot at the buzzer to beat them. So Indian School is very capable of being able to beat them. The key for them, though, is Cadence Riley's got to stay out of foul trouble. They have problems scoring the ball when she's out of the game. If she can stay in the game, they've got a shot at beating them. And Robertson, they just beat Indian School in the district championship game on Friday. They almost beat them in the playoff game on Monday. And if that had happened, you're probably seeing Robertson at the 2 and Indian School at the 3. I think that's going to be a heck of a matchup in the semifinals. And I will say this: I think it will be Robertson and Indian School in the semifinals on that side of the bracket. But I think both of them are capable. Robertson has a really good guard in Peyton Wolf. They have Elena Olivas as a big, as well as Devin Jenkins. One of the, I think the third of like 3 Jenkins sisters that have come through the Robertson program over the last decade.
Tearing up the CalPAC, by the way, for northern New Mexico.
Yep, absolutely. So they've got the size, and if their guard play can improve, I think Robertson's got a great shot of maybe getting to the championship.
With that, your winner is who?
You know what? Indian School has been, for the last 4 years, they've had so many opportunities. I really think that this is the year that they can do it, as long as they can get scoring from some of the from the rest of the team. Aaliyah Valencia, the girl that they call Tiny, she's been really good as a number 2 scorer, but they really need somebody who can be consistently that third scorer behind them that can kind of force teams not to focus so much on those 2 girls. But I still think it's going to be Navajo Prep and Indian School in that championship game.
Aaron?
Well, I think the really interesting match that I see on here is in the quarterfinals. if Tohatchi can beat East Mountain, they only lost by 1 yesterday to Navajo Prep. And I mean, each game that they've played against Navajo Prep, the first one was a big gap, the second one was a smaller gap, and then now only losing by 1. So that quarterfinal matchup, I think, is going to be huge for Tohatchi. I think they really wish they would have won that one because they might have swapped down to the other side of the bracket and not have to play Navajo Prep here. But if there's any big upset on this bracket, it would be Tohatchi beating Navajo Prep because the Cougars are another one of those teams that every year you see them at the pit, and Tohatchi are a team that just seems to win at the pit. So that since it's a quarterfinal, I think that one's going to be the really interesting one to look at. Like Nick was saying though at the beginning, that Navajo Prep team brought back a lot of those important core members, even though they graduated off some big pieces. It's tough to pick against them.
I got Navajo Prep all the way through, Sebastian. It's hard to bet against Rainy Crisp when you're on a 20-plus game winning streak. I do like Magic Medina and the Robertson Cardinals. I mean, last year in the quarterfinals, they were down 9 with like a minute and a half left. James,
amazing comeback,
Yeah, and the comeback they orchestrated against Tohatchi, I think he's a phenomenal coach. Some of those girls are back. I think it's Robertson and Navajo Prep in the state championship. I can't bet against Rainy Crisp. I think Navajo Prep three-peats.
Yeah, I have the same exact result there. I think Robertson does get through, but I think Navajo Prep will be just too much at the end. On the boys' side, really eager to get James's thoughts on this. Obviously, so much of the power in 3A boys is always concentrated on one district, right? One district. And it's the district that you cover so closely, and it's that district with St. Mike's, with Santa Fe Indian School. We'll get that bracket up there in just a moment. But there it is. St. Mike's the 1. The rest of that district, there's Santa Fe Indian School at the 5, and then you see Robertson's at 10, West Las Vegas. I mean, St. Mike's is the number 1 team, and they deserve that seed. But, I mean, there's some good teams in this bracket, James.
This was as wide open as I've seen 3A boys in a really long time. I think for the last 5 or 6 years, you really could pencil in St. Mike's, Robertson, probably, usually Navajo Prep because they've been playing really well as of late. I think you kind of had this idea that, okay, you got 3 teams here, and then whoever kind of makes it out of the rest, well, thanks for showing up to the semis and everything. This one, I think we could see some serious upsets. Now, with that said, I'm going to say this, and nothing against the teams in the bottom half of that bracket, but the state champion is going to come out of that top half. I mean, it's either St. Mike's, Navajo Prep, or Santa Fe Indian School. It's going to be one of those 3 teams. And the disappointing part is, and again, I know how the way the seedings and and the process goes there, but I just don't see Tularosa and Cobre when you look at their overall.
It's not a balanced bracket.
It's not. It's not. I mean, the stronger side of the bracket is on the top half. I mean, really, Indian School and Navajo Prep both have arguments for being a 2 or a 3. Obviously, it didn't work out, and I think a lot of that just had to do with the way the criteria broke down, especially with the overall winning records with Cobre and Tularosa. But I mean, Tularosa didn't even make it out of the first round in the Indian School tournament. Cobre. They lost to West Las Vegas in the beginning of the year, and granted, beginning of the year those things happen. But still, you look at who they played and who they've beaten. I'm not that impressed. And I'll say this: Bosque as a 6. I wouldn't be surprised to see them coming out of that side of the bracket, just because they've played a lot of good teams. They've actually they should have beaten Tularosa, and they let that one slip by them. But I think just in terms of their size, their length, and especially with Josiah Wilson there, I think that's a team that I would really watch out for on that side of the bracket on the bottom half.
I think if you're the teams on the bottom half of the bracket, a 6 like Bosque, a 7 like the T-Wolves,
or even Robertson,
happy, right? You feel like, hey, we could make a run here, right, Nick?
Well, that district got 4 teams in. Shout out Cottonwood Classic head coach Mike Rosales. They were 4-23 last season. First time they beat Bosque. First time they beat Sandia Prep. And they beat Bosque, Cottonwood, earlier in the season. Not saying they can't beat them again. But yeah, East Mountain. What did they start out, Sebastian? They were like 16-0 or something to start the season.
Their first loss was against Bosque, right?
Yeah. Actually, their only losses are against Bosque.
There you go. Yeah.
So no, this is a deep bracket, man. I think it is open.
Aaron?
I mean, I'm looking at that number 4 team, Navajo Prep, like James was talking about, just a great team every year. Obviously, they graduated off Nez and some of those big guys, but the way Dylan Lansing has kind of stepped up for that Navajo Prep team this year, he's been with the team since they had that championship club, and the biggest problem for Navajo Prep is just that they keep changing coaches every single season, so it's tough to really get that momentum built up. Something like 4 new coaches in 4 years.
Yeah.
But I love. We saw Navajo Prep at the Rio Rancho tournament. Was it?
They beat Pius in overtime, and they only lost to Sandia by 9.
And just really, I'm really impressed by Lansing. I think that, if anybody would be able to step up and kind of Sidney Benali things, I think Dylan Lansing's the kind of guy who can do it in 3A.
Want some crazy Dylan Lansing trivia, Nick?
Oh,
hit me.
He would have been a Rio Rancho Ram based on his residency when he started playing high school basketball.
Which is kind of fitting because I think a comparable player in boys 5A is Remy Albrecht. Like, he reminds me a lot of Remy Albrecht in a lot of ways. Just the way that he plays, he gets downhill, he can hit from the outside. So that makes sense to me.
Steve Heredia must really be sad about that one.
He wasn't on the scene back then, right? Things may have been a little different. Who knows? All right, so winners there. Did you have St. Mike's, James?
Yeah, I got to go with St. Mike's. It's going to be tough in that semifinal matchup. And I was just going to say this. I mean, we're talking about, potentially Indian School, St. Michael's in the semifinals, but that potential matchup between Indian School and Navajo Prep, that is going to be a barn burner. The last 2 times when they played each other in the championship game at the Indian School tournament, took a buzzer beater 3 by Navajo Prep, to pull that one out. And Indian School was actually up 5 points, and they just couldn't close out the game. And after what happened to Indian School on Saturday, just a heartbreaking way that they lost to St. Michael's, and especially after also when you add the factor in that they lost their coach Jason Abeda and that car crash last year. They've got a lot of motivation there in that game, and I think they got a lot of motivation also to beat St. Mike's. I'm having a hard time trying to stick with St. Mike's, but my gut tells me it probably will be just because of the way they've been able to win games.
Sounds like you're trying to talk yourself into it.
I am trying to talk myself into it. But at the same time, I mean, St. Michael's they've played so well, and you look at the teams that they played. They almost beat Rio Rancho. They beat Highlands. They played some really good teams. They beat Santa Fe High. And this is probably their best shot at this, because after this senior group that graduates, they're going to come back to the pack a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit harder for them to get to this point.
Okay, Aaron, who do you like, and over who?
So
rapid fire here.
Yeah, I got 2A's all Wolverines. I got 3A is all Navajo Prep.
Okay.
So I think Navajo Prep probably takes this one
over.
I mean, that bottom side, I think anybody could do it. I think we get an upset, and maybe Bosque gets in.
Yeah, I like that too. Nick?
I like Bosque all the way to the state championship. I think this is their year. Hart, I can't remember his name, but I think they got a kid back recently in the district tournament. I think it's St. Mike's over Bosque. Horsemen are state champs.
And I will have, I too have Bosque going all the way to the championship behind Josiah Wilson's great play. And then I have them losing in the championship game against St. Michael's as well. So, all right, we'll take a quick break, really quick, and then we'll get through 4A and 5A right after this.
We've been trained, conditioned, and rewarded for doing more. But people weren't designed for all that doing. Our bodies need to settle into nothing from time to time. Into nothing at all. In a world obsessed with doing more, we invite you to undo.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore. Just like riding a bicycle, I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
All right, we're back, and for 4A girls, we're going to just throw the bracket up there. But unless you have a case to make for a final other than Gallup and Kirtland Central, I think we can save a lot of time. So does anyone want to go out on a limb and say it's not going to be Kirtland Central and Gallup?
I like Albuquerque Academy. They lost to Gallup early in the season. Harper Dunn, Lily Skarsgård, Addie Spratley just set the school record for points. They do have some firepower. I don't think they have enough. I think it's Gallup and Kirtland.
And who do you like in that winner?
I like Kirtland Central.
Ed?
I would agree with that. Nick mentioned Albuquerque Academy. Bernalillo started out, I think, 17-0 under Ashley Duran over there. She's done a great job. She's battling some health issues, but she's done a wonderful job out there. But seeing those district scores, I've got to go Gallup and Kirtland, and I think Kirtland gets it done.
I agree. I have Kirtland over Gallup. James, same?
I got to agree with y'all there. I just think that Kirtland's just too much of a beast.
See how efficient that was, guys?
Yeah.
All right, 4A boys. Let's get into it. All right? And the 1 seed is Highland, the 2 is Artesia, the 3 is Hope. We'll just start on the end and work our way, okay? James, who do you have in your Final Four there? And just kind of quickly get us into a championship game, and who do you have in your championship over who?
Okay, man. Well, I still think you got to go with Artesia on the bottom half of that bracket there. I just think they're still the beast, to beat there in 4A. And after hearing you guys talking about Hope Christian, I mean, that could be an intriguing matchup there in the semifinals if you get that 2-3 matchup. Highland, I think Highland will probably come out there. Although I will say Taos, especially with Malachi Eli, I mean, they could pose some problems there just because a 6'7" kid that's averaging a double-double. That's gonna make for some matchup issues there for some of these smaller teams and everything. But I think at the end, it's probably going to be Highland and Artesia.
And then with your winner being Highland or Artesia?
I'm gonna stick with Artesia.
Okay. All right. Ed?
You know what? If you're looking at that bottom half, I will take Artesia. Mike Mondragon, they lost the last second shot to Portales, and then they avenged that loss. They've got a very good team there, so I'll take them. I'll take Hope Christian. I think Albuquerque Academy's had some good moments.
Getting much better, aren't they?
With Josh Borrego and Hunter Amy. Great post moves, can catch, finish, shoot free throws. But I'll take Hope Christian on that side. Hernan Chavez has done a great job at Taos. But you know what? I like Jesse Hadhoot, and that's a good matchup there with Jerron McIntosh. I'll take Del Norte on that. And I got to tell you, you know who I'm going to take on that side of the bracket? I don't think anyone's playing better than my Hornets. They've won 16 in a row. And I'll say that they're playing the best ball of anybody in the state. And, they did beat La Cueva.
Yes,
and I think that's
and
a big...
We went to that game, Ed. You and I sat together.
Yeah.
That game was not as close as the score. They handled La Cueva easily.
They did. And I'll tell you what, Nico Sanchez, Fede Nunez, Lemus, the big man, Jerry Moody, I think, and Coach Woody, the district coach of the year again, he's done a phenomenal job at Highlands. I've got Highland as my eventual champion.
Moody could carry them. If he gets a little Jose Murillo in him for this state tournament, it could be deja vu all over again.
I'll tell you one thing.
He just needs a little more of that aggression, like the Murillo aggression. But he's you got a big like that. A big can carry you, right?
Yeah. He's 6'9", and once in a while I get to go out to practice. I like Jerry. But it's like, okay,
you probably elbow him with your old school moves, huh?
You know what? If I could, I would. He gets 9.9 rebounds, and that's great. My thing is, you're 6'9", get 12.9 to get to the state championship.
I could just see your dad.
The state championship.
I could just see your dad at practice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's probably using words that Jerry Moody's never even heard.
I used to do that to Nick all the time.
All right, you got Highland over Hope, right? Is that who you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quickly,
Nick?
my Final Four. I got Highland and Del Norte in the Final Four in the top half of the bracket. That was an interesting game earlier in the season, Sebastian. I think it was a 3-point win for the Hornets, and Del Norte would say maybe they let that one slip away. At the bottom half of the bracket, Artesia and Hope Christian, those two teams met in Hope Christian Invitational. Artesia won it convincingly. On the top half, I'm going to say Del Norte upsets Highland in the semifinal. I got the Knights in the state championship. I've got Artesia beating Hope Christian.
You've always been my favorite, Nunez. I just want to say that.
I was going to say that.
I'm not saying that because I'm sitting next to you, Sebastian. I've seen Del Norte a couple times this season. Francois Sachivi, 19.3 points per game, is 50% three-point shooter on high volume,
Incredible.
man. He's a 3-level scorer, and that's no disrespect to Highland. They absolutely have the talent to win this thing, and it's hard for me to pick against the Justin Woody team that's won 16 games in a row. I just really like Del Norte a lot. On the bottom half, I like Artesia and Del Norte in the state championship, a rematch of the 2021 state championship that the Knights won. They don't have enough this time. I got Artesia as back-to-back state champions. Coach Mike Mondragon, people forget about him down south because they don't see him. And they did drop a couple games. They lost to Roswell. They lost to Portales like on a half-court buzzer beater earlier this season. But I just think that team is too much, man. They're too balanced. Clay Kincaid is back. Charlie Campbell, one of the best guards in that class. And I got Artesia as back-to-back state champions.
I was just in Artesia for a work trip recently, Nick, and I picked up this really cool, and I thought, well, this is fitting of the Artesia Bulldogs, right? I was just in Artesia, and I picked up this Yeti.
All right.
And let me explain, right? And Artesia, they're just one of those teams, right, that they bring their lunch pail every day, right? Yep. They rebound. They play defense. They don't turn the ball over a lot, right? So there's a lot to like about that Artesia team, isn't there?
All right. Oh, 100%.
Because they're like the lunch pail team. But with all that being said, I'm going with the Knights over the Artesia Bulldogs in the championship.
Hold it out.
Yeah. Get this orange, ugly thing out of here and give me the Knights. And let me tell you why.
Yeah. All right.
I like the depth. It's much more than Francois, right? The district player of the year. Shoots at 50%, but it's the depth. Coach McIntosh, earlier in the season when they let some games get away, I started thinking like, man, is he playing too many guys? Is it too deep? But no, now those guys are all contributing here near the end of the season. D'Amico Mornicki comes off the bench. He can shoot. Absolutely love what Nate Padilla gives him off the bench. Carl Thomas. Need more out of Moomin, that's for sure. He's got to find that beast within him for this week and a half period because Francois needs a Robin. But if Batman can find a Robin, I like the Knights.
Yep, Sam Mares, Pedro Padron, also two capable scorers for them. They're going to need to hit some shots in the state tournament.
Pedro Padron is, when he plays well, they win. When he doesn't play well, they don't win. Because he's such a pass first, get those puppies organized point guard, right? He is really a key for that team.
You know what? He'll hit a three, too. And
Oh, yeah.
He'll find a gap. What I like about him, he'll attack a gap, drive and kick out. But the other thing last night that I noticed is the physical hustle. 50-50 loose balls, he's going to dive on it and get it. And that sparks the team up because he's going to give himself up. He's one of my favorite players on that team because he gives it his all. He really does.
I will say this, though. Last point here on 4A. It's no guarantee Artesia makes it through to the championship because Hope Christian now with this new big lineup and academy, Coach Broussard always has his teams getting better by the end of the year. They got the pieces with Hunter Aim and with Zach Borrego, Michael Nana, or Brian Nana, excuse me, was on the all-district team. I think the metro area will be well represented for sure in the 4A bracket. Yeah. All right, can we go straight to 5A? Is that the plan? All right, we're going straight here. Let me get rid of my props. All right, 5A on the girls' side. The one seed's Hobbs. I am so disappointed to see Hobbs and Sandia on the same side because that was going to be my championship. I thought that would be the two teams playing in the championship game. But with that being said, and I'm calling these games, so I'm not going to pick a winner here. I'll let that happen. I'll throw that to you guys. We'll start in the middle with Ed. Anything? Give me some upsets. Did you see any upsets there in the first round?
You know what? I don't. I look at that bracket. Volcano Vista and Centennial, that one intrigues me a little bit because it was the Centennial coach, Matt Abney, done a great job. Lisa Villarreal, we mentioned, doesn't have the horses. She did beat Rio Rancho earlier this year, but they were without Maddie Martinez, I believe. I saw Lisa Villarreal at Volcano the next night. And it's funny because I just talked to assistant coach Bruce Carver of Rio Rancho the day before. He's a little worried about that, and it turned out Volcano beat him. So that matchup intrigues me a little bit because Matt Abney has started out really good. So that I think is a very good matchup in the first round there. But, I think you've got to give Lori Mabry 400 wins. She got her 400th win this year. Congratulations to her. I really like her team a lot. The Martinezes, Daisha Jack, they've got a great team. They've got a very good team. I think they're going to be a team to be Manny V. Hill down at Los Lunas has done a good job. You mentioned George Maya, the legend at Mayfield. That's going to be a very good first-round matchup, too. But looking at it, I've got Hobbs, and I think Sandia comes out of that bracket there. Rio Rancho, and on the bottom there, I'll take Farmington as my final four. And the ultimate winner, I'm going to take Rio Rancho.
All right, the Rams in the over against who in your championship game?
I'll take them against Hobbs.
Okay. All right.
My favorite game of this bracket, assuming there's no upsets in the first round, Sandia taking on Albuquerque High. That was a very close game earlier this season. I spoke with Lee Kettig about that game. I asked him what's the difference. He said Abby Pavia, who's been one of the most phenomenal players in this class, 39 points against Los Lunas earlier this season, hit a game winner. So I cannot wait to see that game between Sandia and Albuquerque High if that's how it shakes out. Bottom half of the bracket, I got Volcano Vista upsetting Centennial. You can't bet against Lisa Villarreal. Matt Abney's a fine coach as well. Like you mentioned, Sebastian, that Los Lunas Mayfield game is going to be a defensive slugfest. I really like Manny V. Hill, though. They lost in the first round last year. I think they advanced this year. On my bottom half final four, I've got Farmington and Rio Rancho. I think the Scorpions are a little too much. Yes, Rio Rancho did just beat them in the district tournament championship. I think Coach Tom Adair gets revenge in the state tournament. So I got Farmington in the state championship, and I think we may have an upset. I'm going to go with Sandia. I think Kea Benally is one of the most electric players in this class. She's so downhill, very different than Sydney in a lot of ways. I think she's a lot more athletic, but certainly a playmaker. I got Sandia and Farmington in the state championship, and I got the Matadors.
James?
Alrighty, man. I got about your guys' superior knowledge when it comes to 5A because, all I really got is Santa Fe High there, and, I don't see them getting much past Albuquerque High. My question with Albuquerque High is, do they have enough behind Pavia? Do they have enough firepower to support her and everything? And I think that matchup against Sandia probably will expose that a little bit. So I think I agree with you guys. Hobbs, Sandia on the top half, bottom half. I like Rio Rancho. I saw them a couple of times early in the year, and they're just so impressive, especially with the guard play that they have. I think they'll get to the semis against Farmington, and it's hard to pick against Farmington. That's another team that I saw. They were at Santa Fe High's tournament, the capital city, and they were very dominant. I mean, their guard play is truly remarkable, and I think that will carry the day there, even with the Martinezes. And I hate saying that because obviously they've got ties to the north with the with the Martinezes all being from Las Vegas and everything. But I just think I just like Farmington, out of that side of the bracket. So I think we're looking at I think it'll be Farmington Hobbs, and I'll go with Farmington. I think we need a little change up there, and nothing against Joe Carpenter and the Eagles there, but I just like Farmington.
So we got a Farmington. We got a.
What'd you have, Dave?
What'd you have?
I had Rio Rancho.
Rio Rancho, that's right.
San Diego. So we're well represented. One interesting thing that jumps out at me for Farmington to get through all the way to the championship, no matter who they face in the next round, they're going to be facing teams that absolutely are going to want to slow them down and make games defensive grindhouse. I mean, the defensive teams on the bottom of the bracket, it's pretty interesting. Other than, of course, that Farmington team that wants to run and gun. All right, let's turn our attention now to 5A boys. Let's look at that first round matchup, the 8-9 seed, and talk about that a little bit here. I mean, you can cry to the heavens that it's not fair that Coach Barella and the Bulldogs have to hit the road against who was a number 3 seed in his district tournament, Las Cruces. But it is what it is. They are going to hit the road, and that's a very intriguing 8-9 matchup. I'll go to you first, Ed. District champs, Albuquerque High against Las Cruces. Break that one down for us.
Leroy Bardella had a chance to talk to him today. That's his third time he's won district. And, remember, there was Jim Holzman, Ron Estrada, Greg Brown, and Ron Garcia. Only 4 coaches in Albuquerque High history. So I think Coach Bardella has done a heck of a job. Said his seniors last night, 8 of 8 from the charity stripe in the fourth quarter. So Will Benjamin, Sebastian is a very big favorite of mine. I love Will. That one there, I'll take. I think I'm going to have to take the top half with Las Cruces, the Bulldogs. They've got a home game there. They've got Ben Walton. They've got some good players, as does Albuquerque High. I think Las Cruces has enough to beat them on, and then I'll take Volcano Vista on the top there. And then Hobbs had some early success. You mentioned losing to Mesa Vista, but they recovered. Ronald Ross has done a pretty good job there. I'll take Hobbs. La Cueva rolling right now. Hobbs versus La Cueva. Rio Rancho against Mayfield, and that Ben Trujillo you mentioned started out well. I'm going to take Rio Rancho in that. Sandia versus Farmington. Farmington lost that Griego kid, and it's a different team, so I'll take Sandia there. And Centennial and Carlsbad. Centennial, I think, had played very well early on as well. So I'll take Centennial versus Cleveland. And my final champion, I'm gonna go with the Rams of Rio Rancho. I think it's their year to break through with that team they have. You mentioned their depth. Steve Heredia has done a great job there. They've got size. They've got shooters. They've got it all. I think it's the Rams' year to win a championship.
And who are they beating in the top half of the bracket there?
I think it'll be Rio Rancho versus Volcano Vista, a district matchup there for the championship.
Okay, Nick, I want to ask you, first of all, do you see any first-round upsets? I mean, I don't know how much of an upset that 8-9 would be. Does Ethan Etzel have enough around him to pull that game out for the Bulldogs?
I think he does. There's depth questions for Albuquerque High, but let's remember a couple years ago, Leroy Barella took the Bulldogs down to Clovis, and they won that game on the road. So they've got experience winning.
Someone did pick that upset, by the way, on this desk. But
I'm sure it's the person to my left. But yeah, I think Albuquerque High wins that game over 8-9, and that's no disrespect to William Benjamin. Obviously, Ben Walton's a great player, and they've got a great cast. But I think the Bulldogs can get through on the bottom half of the bracket, Sebastian. Even if Griego doesn't play, I think Farmington has some size and physicality that may be able to give Sandia some problems, but I'm not going to bet against the Matadors when they're healthy with Gad Harris playing. I think Cleveland gets through on Alamogordo. So my final four on the bottom half of the bracket, I'm going to go with Cleveland and Rio Rancho. Top half of the bracket, I got Volcano Vista and La Cueva. We'll stay with the top half. Man, the Bears beat the Hawks earlier in the season. That was the first loss that Volcano Vista had in a while. I just think Volcano Vista, the district that they play in, they've got to show up every night. There's depth questions with the Hawks. They don't have Drayden Montgomery. But it's hard for me to bet against Volcano Vista, so I'm going to take the Hawks in the state championship game. On the bottom half, I've got Rio Rancho getting through on Cleveland. I think they're ticked off. I think if I'm Steve Heredia and the Rio Rancho Rams, you just ended up on the wrong end of a few bad plays this season.
Yeah, I'm close.
I'm pissed off, and I got Rio Rancho in the state championship. I got him beating Volcano Vista.
All right, 2 Rio Rancho picks already. James.
Well, it's interesting because I look at first I'll start with the bottom half there, and I think, Cleveland, doesn't it feel like they've kind of just been sneaking by in some of these games? Just that they do just enough to win, and sometimes that's a great quality to have, especially when you get down to state here. But sometimes they can bite you in the butt just because you keep relying on happenstance or chance or even luck to get you through there. And I've seen Rio Rancho a couple of times. I just like the way that they play, man. That's just the length, the size, the shooting that they all have. I just like them coming out of that side, even with them going up against Sandia. And Sandia, if they shoot well, I think they could make a run if Harris is. I know Harris is not 100% back, but he gives them another weapon. That team.
I will say this: I'll take a slight issue with what you said about Cleveland. I just think Coach Cole's done a really nice job with that group, and I think he's got them feeling confident. He's got the rest of those guys feeling confident. And he's got them bought in a lot more defensively. What more can you ask him to do other than win, right? Especially in that district, whether it's 2 points or 4 or 10, in that district, a win's a win. And you take
I was going to say, in that district is...
And the week they had at the end of the season, win, tiebreaker, win, and that's impressive.
Yeah, and we talk about depth with Rio Rancho. Arguably, Cleveland has just as much depth. With Jordan Rivera coming off the bench, Jace Bracken coming off the bench. They have guys that do the dirty work too. Noah Valor, I don't know how many offensive rebounds and putbacks he had last night against Volcano Vista. So you couldn't go wrong.
And a lot of shooters, right? They got. People forget Zach's son Cannon played on a championship team, by the way, with the Phoenix at ATC. He can hit an open shot. AJ obviously is a sniper. Those bigs can shoot. That's a really good team. I think it's the better Cleveland team we've seen over the last 2-3 years for sure. All right,
but I still think it's a flip. I think it's a coin flip there when it comes down to that semifinal. And I got to think at some point Rio Rancho's going to get the better of them at some point. So and this probably is a time to do it. So I'm going to go with Rio Rancho on that side. Nothing against them. And Zach, Adrian, I love you guys. I'm sure I'll get the angry text here pretty soon. So, but I think they'll go. I'm going to pull off another surprise. I like La Cueva. I think La Cueva, that side of the bracket, I think the way they're playing, especially on the defensive side, when you add Travis Julian and what he brings to that end, that's a tough team. They're playing really well.
Watch this dunk here. I think this is it, right? Yeah, here we go. That Watson dunk was just nasty.
The thing that I love about that is it's not coming in transition. That's in a half court.
He just exploded.
Just dunking over
exploded.
You don't see a lot of traffic dunks.
I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go La Cueva. I think it'll be La Cueva Rio Rancho.
Okay.
In the championship, and I'm going to go with Rio Rancho. I think they'll win it.
So we have 3 Rio Rancho picks, right? I'm not going to pick a winner in this game because I'm calling the game. Aaron, I know Aaron wasn't part of this segment, but do you want to slide in here? Do you have a winner in your championship?
Yeah, I got a 5-peat. I've got a 5-peat for the Volcano Vista Hawks over the Rio Rancho Rams. It could very easily go the other way, but I just don't. They can't keep getting away with it, and yet they seem to.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, that Steve Heredia hits this bad luck at the end of the season, and it's a clean sweep. Every single one of you guys has them in the championship game. So this is the time where they should turn their fortunes, right? For sure. Again, it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for coming in today. I know we're all going to have a blast next week. Again, all those games are exclusively on the NFHS network. So if you don't have your tournament pass yet, then I would urge you to get those. And if you need to read about it in the paper, of course, James has us covered up there, up north. Of course, our friend James Yotis down here. It's going to be a great tournament. Good luck to all the teams, and we'll see you at the pit. And don't be afraid if you see us. to just come up and say hello and tell us how stupid our picks were. Because it's easy to do it on text or on Twitter, but just we want to talk to you. Like, we'll explain them to you, all right? Come see us at the concourse in the pit. But the championship is here, championship week is here, and March Madness is officially upon us. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Raising Cane's
John, thanks for coming in.
Grab
Thank you.
life by the chicken fingers. So get out there. Be you. Do you.